I would have probably said, I don't know, some naked pictures of your old lady to try to buy myself some time, maybe make him quit searching. The only other thing I had, Joe, is, and I remember it like it was yesterday, I would have said, the gig is up. I'm an undercover FBI agent, and I can walk out of here and we can see each other in court, or all hell's going to break loose. Here's the issue, as I get a swig. That would have been a bluff on my part, because as far as I knew, every time I was in that clubhouse, my cover team could never hear me. For whatever reasons, because somebody's going to say it's tradecraft. But again, this is 2005 to 2008, but they could never really hear me in that clubhouse. And I make it out. I end up going out with Scott Town and Joe Dogs that night. But what happens is I am legitimately pissed off, because now my adrenaline's coming back down, and I'm taking it personal. I shouldn't. I'm undercover as an FBI agent. I'm not really Scott Calloway. I mean, I'm kind of.
But you're so deep in the role.
Well, and it's really me, kind of. I mean, that's the whole thing. I never was far off of who I really am in life.
Right.
A pedophile? Yeah. You hire me to kill somebody? No, I'm not going to ingratiate with you. I'm a stone cold killer. But I'm hanging with you for 2 years or a year and a half or whatever. Yeah, the jokes are kind of the same. Right. So I'm pissed. And at one point, I'm telling Joe Dogs, I'm like, you know what, man? F all you sons. I said, y'all show up tomorrow? I said, I'm stripping all y'all in the damn parking lot. You know, I was just, and they were nice. They let me vent my stuff. Well, that night, when I went to turn in my equipment at an undisclosed location, probably 3, 4, or 5 in the morning, to the case team, what I found out was this. The shift started with Sergeant Higginbottom. Everybody called him Higgy, and Joe, the detective. These guys are awesome, phenomenal law enforcement officers. Although I think their love language is yelling. Maybe that's my southern thing mixing with the northeast thing. But they told me, they said, Scott, we heard you in there. And I'm like, what? When I had that first interaction with Joe Dogs, they are very street smart. They're very good investigators, and they have been working this group forever. Something that happened in that first interaction made their spidey senses, or the Holy Spirit, if you're a believer, say something's not right. They had pulled close enough. They heard everything. They put on their vest. They suited up. And because they'd been in that clubhouse before and knew that door system, their plan was to drive the van into the cinder block wall next to the door.
Oh, my God.
Just to smash that, you know. Sometimes I'm teaching this. I'll joke about it and say it probably would have killed me because I was in the basement, you know. But reverse, back up. You're so damn heavy. But at that moment, I was scared to death, right? So they tell me what happened was they pulled close enough. They heard everything. They're suiting up. They have radioed now, because it's kind of the beginning of the shift. They've radioed now back to Boston. Everybody that's working that night is now blue lights and siren all the way down to hauling ass to Taunton, Massachusetts. So I say this in a jovial way, but the case agent was actually a good friend of mine. We went through the FBI Academy together. And that night, again, I'm still shell-shocked. He says, man, when I was coming down the highway with my blue lights and sirens on, I felt like I was in there with you. And I looked at him and I said, you weren't. I said, because I was looking for any friendly face I could find in that damn hole. But so that night, we haven't talked about my family. I try not, well, I take it back. In the book, I'm very transparent about where things went south with the family, where my marriage almost ended, you know, 911 hang-ups, stuff like that. But at that point in time, I'd bought my wife, everybody's pretty familiar now with the burner phone, but I'd bought my wife a phone that came back to nothing, so my undercover phone could call that phone, not violating the operational security.